Hello everybody. Last week we learned about 6 different ways to create the illusion of space. And we also started talking about creating our one artwork that can show how much you grow. And unfortunately, you will not be able to proceed with that project because we will not be able to meet and you will not get those materials as well as support from me. But we will still create an artwork and it should still be able to show how much you grow in my class. So let's just quickly review the 6 ways to show space. You can look at this picture here that I have, but I also have this picture from the lesson from yesterday. We have overlap, we have shading, we have placement, size, value and focus, and linear perspective. And your last project, the one that I'm going to teach you, will be focusing on linear perspective. So, but today we're just going to practice sketching, coming up with ideas. So overlap, you know that is when you have foreground, middle ground, background by placing objects in front or behind each other. So the key word here is like covering each other. Shading is when using shadow, using mark makings to turn something from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. You know that we can shade using stippling, cross-hatching, or hatching. Placement is when we placed subject matter according to a location on the paper, which can suggest it would be in the foreground, middle ground, or background. These are all review information. So the bottom would be foreground, the middle would be the middle ground, and the top location would be the background. Then we have size. Size is similar to placement in a way where you are still placing the subject matter, the objects, in different location of the paper. But on top of that, you change its size from large to small according to whether it is in the foreground, where it's going to be a lot bigger with more details, or it would be in the far background where it's a lot smaller with very little details, which leads us to number 5, value and focus. Objects that are close to us in the foreground will appear to be in focus with more details versus objects in the background with very little details, and it will be very blurry. And then the last one would be linear perspective, which we will talk about more about this tomorrow. But just remember that linear perspective would have all of the objects will be lining up and recedes far into the vanishing point, which is that focal point right there in the background. There's a point. Alright, so let's get started with our activity for today. I placed the the reference sheet on the left right here, and what you would do is you would need a dice and you would roll it and draw whatever that matches up with that number. So you actually would have 6 turns. The first time you roll, you would draw what's in the sky. Second time you roll, you would draw your horizon line so according to what's there. The third roll would be for your foreground, which are anything that you want to add in the front. Fourth roll would be your tree. You can add the trees in the foreground, middle ground, or background, and that's where we're going to be using these techniques. We're going to apply these techniques to our sketch. Same with the 5th roll for any extra things from nature. And then the 6th roll will be anything you want to add, those fun extra details. And you can add any of those things in the background, foreground, top, middle, bottom. So, but our goal is to create a landscape that will demonstrate how much we know about space, or ways to show space in art. So I am going to use my marker to draw on a piece of paper. You need to make sure your paper is turned landscape direction. And one last thing is that you can keep all of the work that you've done, sketches as well as final draft, to turn them into me. When you come back, you can you can turn it a physical form into me, or you can also take a picture and scan your artwork, have someone help you, and submit it onto eClass. There will be more instructions as to how you can do that later. So let's get started. I'm going to roll. My first turn will be for the sky. So I got number 4. So that means that I would have a rainy day. Okay, so once again, this is just for ideas. So I got rainy day. So I can go ahead. I would draw these things, but I can change it up however I want. I might have more clouds. Maybe since it's raining, I can have the clouds overlapping one another. You can see here, overlap, some things in the front, some things in the back. I can draw thunder, but let's just go ahead and add in cloud. And you see that the rain is going this direction, so I'll do that. I'm going to turn this just so that it helps me with the direction a little better. Keep in mind, this is a sketch, so you can fix it however you want to fix it. You're not committed to it. You know, a sketch is also a way to show how much you grow as well as an artist. I can look at your sketch and then I look at your final draft, and I would know how much you improve. There. Alright, I'm just going to stop there and move on. Alright, second roll would be number 6. So that would be my horizon line. So normally I would just draw one horizontal line right there, and we know the horizon line is the line that separates our the earth and the sky for our view. But here, number 6, oh, look at that, it is just one simple horizontal line. So I will do that. And then I have a 3 for my next roll, which is foreground. Foreground here would be like the grass, mountain, sky, grass, mountains, leaf, bushes. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of that here. Since it says it's foreground, which is something that should be at the bottom, because it's, you know, we learn from placement that anything from the bottom would be foreground. But if I want to draw it as a background, let's change it up. I can draw a mountain using the same thing and doing it in the background. Okay, alright, next roll. 4. 4 is for the trees, and I got cactus. Okay, so since I want to draw a cactus in the foreground, I'm going to have to draw a large size, correct? Okay, and since it's close to us, we can see its details better, so that means it's more focused. The flower. But if it's a little bit in the middle ground, then it's size. That's one other thing we learned. We'll get a little smaller as it goes, recedes back into the background. It goes back into the foreground, so it gets a little. Now I'm going to draw another one, which is smaller. And then you get the idea because we've learned this already. And you can see there's less details because you can't really see that far away. Okay, all right, so then we have next roll, flowers. 6. Ooh, a 6. Okay, so that flowers. Okay, so if I want it to show that clear details, I can draw the flowers really large here, and that how I draw that would be actually what they did. They did kind of like a twisty line, and then we draw the stem, and then we draw the leaves. Same here. But if you want to draw the flower over here, then it will be, not obviously, but we know that it will be smaller. And let's put some over here since we want to fill all that empty space. You know, you don't want to leave it empty. It will look incomplete. And you notice that the flower size is matching up according to the middle section, while the ones at the front, it's about the same size. And here, alright, and I will keep adding. Whoop. Come on. There you go. A 3, this is last turn. Extra. A 3 matches up with an alien spaceship. Oh, okay. So let's think. Do I want the alien to be in the foreground? Do I want the alien to be in the background? Maybe I'll have it somewhere in the middle, peeking out from the side. So I'll have, let's see, I'll go ahead and draw the guy right here. Let's take a closer look. He seems to be smiling. He seems happy in there. It's like he's discovered something. Got one eye with antenna. Then you got the spaceship. Once again, keep in mind this is just for ideas. If you want to draw a different kind of alien spaceship, go ahead, have fun. Right? And then of course I would go back in, fill the page up. If I want to look like there's more rain, maybe add lightning, you know, things like that. So I want you guys to draw your sketch. Have fun.